Welcome back to the channel. Now today we're going to be seeing if the F-18 should be added to WarThunder, and if it is added, how will it perform and be balanced. We're also going to be predicting when this aircraft will be added to the game. Also make sure to go down in the comments down below and tell me whether you guys think this aircraft should be added to the game. And another thing, don't forget to subscribe if you like this video. Let's get into it. So today we'll be talking specifically about the F-18A/B because the other variants are more modern and carry better avionics and equipment, which will just unbalance the game. Now, the F-18 Hornet has pretty decent specs. It is a very, very good multi-role aircraft. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but its acceleration makes up for it. Another thing to note is that this was technically a derivative of the F-5. The YF-17 was the early development of the F-18 and used a lot of the airframe of the F-5. So this is basically going to have the same airframe as the F-5 with a huge performance boost, and it's carrier capable. Now, since Gaijin's announcement on 4th generation aircraft being added to the game, I think the F-18 is one of the few aircraft that we can add to game with it being balanced, because this thing's speed isn't the best because its top speed is lower than the Phantom. But what really carries this thing is its avionics, its technology, its energy retention, and its acceleration is insane. Now, since we're on the topic of speed, let's talk about this aircraft's stats and weapon capabilities. Well, its max speed is Mach 1.8, which isn't too good, but I mean, come on, who goes Mach 2 in a WarThunder match? It's just ridiculous. Going Mach 1.8 is just fine. Its service ceiling is 50,000 feet, and its rate of climb is 50,000 feet a minute. Pretty good. Has a thrust of weight of 0.96, which isn't that bad. That's actually pretty decent. And it also carried the Raytheon AN APG-73, which had a air-to-ground mode, which means it could track tanks just as much as it could track air targets. It also had TWS and pulse Doppler. Now, the F-18A could carry a lot of weapons, including the AIM-120. Now, it is something to note, though, that the F-18A variants equipped with the AN APG-65 radar could not carry the AIM-120. The F-18A is equipped with the AN APG-73 radars could carry the AIM-120 Plus. So basically, all the variants of the F-18 could carry the AIM-120, but only the ones with the AN APG-73. Now, for air-to-ground weapons, the F-18 could carry the AGM-84 Harpoon, AGM-65 Maverick, the AGM-88 Harm, which would be amazing to use in WarThunder, and the AGM-62 Walleye. Now, if you don't know what a Harm is, it's basically an anti-radiation missile, which will kill SAM sites with their radars on.
Something to think about if you throw trash on Texas highways. Somebody up there is going to be watching.
So it'll be a lot easier to conduct seed missions when you could fire at standoff ranges without being killed. Another awesome air-to-ground missile this thing would carry is the Advanced Precision Kill Weapon System, or the AGR-20, which was basically guided hydras guided through a laser system, which would be absolutely cool to see. Sad thing is, these were only planned to be placed on the F-18 and were never actually put on the F-18. And last but not least, this thing carried the AIM-9Ls and the AIM-7 Sparrows, which are pretty neat. I don't think Gaijin's going to add the AIM-120s to this aircraft, at least not in the beginning of when it's first released, but depending on when this aircraft is released, maybe we'll see AIM-120s with it, but right now I don't think Gaijin's going to add AIM-120s for a while. So what could we see the F-18A fight in WarThunder? Well, the MiG-29 or the early variants of the MiG-29 would be slaughtered by the F-18, no doubt, but the Flanker series could have a good chance. In fact, there's a video of the Super Hornet in a dogfight with an Su-30. Of course, it was training, and the F-18 Super Hornet absolutely slaughtered the Su-30. So, given that it's an F-18 Super Hornet, of course it is more advanced and upgraded, but it has generally the same frame as the F-18A. So let's just go with the F-18A, right, and it will fight a Su-27. And we'll be testing an ACM and a BVR fight. Okay, so for the first dogfight, we will be using the F-18C, which is the closest variant to the F-18A in DCS. We'll also be bringing the AIM-9Ms, and he'll be using the R-73s. Now you can see here, we pull a hard turn, almost blacking out, and I turn on the off boresight mode, which is used with HMD, and launch an AIM-9M, and it doesn't seem to track. So I go into boresight mode and try to slew it to his position. thing with fighter jets is, or I guess any real combat, you want to be the one to shoot first, because then they'll go defensive and pretty much be screwed. See right there in the first dogfight, I got my nose on quicker and was able to shoot him out of the sky. Okay, so now we will be conducting the BVR fight against the Su-27 flanker, and he is carrying the R-27Rs while I am taking the AIM-7Ms. Now, these are pretty decent missiles. I will be able to launch my missiles first, which is absolutely amazing, and that is key to beating your opponent in a BVR fight, also cranking in a lot of chaff. Another thing to note is that the F-18 has an SA page, or situational awareness page, which really helps find your target. You guys are dogfighting, you just look in the bottom left, and boom, it shows them on the map. But do note this only works with AWACS. Anyway, I launched the AIM-7Ms at him, and then I start cranking to the left so he could have his missiles pull a little harder and bleed with speed. You see he launches his R-27R, and it starts to track. See that I was able to launch it first, but at this point I start doing a roll and try and bleed the missile as much as possible, and it seems to work because the missile explodes and he gets shot down by my AIM-7s. So you can see that this jet is extremely good at ACM and BVR, but I'll give the Su-27 the benefit of the doubt. I was using the F-18C, which is an upgraded F-18A, so they should be pretty balanced in WarThunder. Speaking of WarThunder, how will this aircraft perform in WarThunder? Well, I think by the time the F-18's at it, it's going to already have its competition in the game. Obviously, the F-18 would slaughter anything in game we have now, but if the F-18 is fighting stuff like MiG-29s and Su-27s, it'll have pretty good competition. I think, though, that the F-18 is going to slaughter MiG-29s in a 1v1 scenario. Definitely in a BVR scenario where both teams are at high altitude, the F-18 is going to win 9 times out of 10, obviously. But F-18 versus the Su-27 will be a lot more balanced because those aircraft would dogfight each other really well, and they both can do BVR pretty decent. Hopefully Gaijin adds thrust vectoring correctly to the Su-27, because if it doesn't, the Su-27 is going to have a hard time defeating the F-18 in an ACM fight. Another thing to note is that the repair cost on this will probably cost an arm and a leg in your firstborn child. No, but more seriously, the F-18 probably won't have an insane repair cost by the time it's at it, because there'll already be 4th gen aircraft in the game. So with that being said, what are my predictions and when could we see this aircraft added to WarThunder? Well, given that WarThunder just announced 4th generation aircraft are coming this year, which I'm assuming will be the F-14, I think this jet could come either at the end of this year or next year, because it is a pretty advanced fighter jet, and Gaijin probably won't want to add another naval aircraft this year other than the F-14 to keep attention on the F-14 Tomcat, because that is a huge cash cow. But let me know what you guys think about this and what aircraft you guys would like to see added to WarThunder in the future. Anyway, like, share, and subscribe, and take care, guys.